Now, typically, I wouldn't be talking about this because it is just still hasn't been official. It's not been finalized or anything like that. But I feel like the fate of the California theme parks is really bad right now. And by bad, I mean, I don't think that they're going to open until 2021. At least maybe even late December if we're lucky. But in my personal opinion, I don't think they're opening until early 2021. And I'll tell you guys why up next. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to SoCal Exploring. My name is Scott, and you're watching your stop for all things theme park and attraction related. If you guys are new here, subscribe with those bell notifications on, and check out all of our social media, link down below in the description. But I want to take this time early in the video to, one, put a disclaimer out, and one, to send my thoughts out to everybody about the recent bad news on the cast member layoffs, the 28,000 cast members that were laid off this past week in the Walt Disney Company. And since that topic is still a little bit sensitive, I will not be having any ads running on this video at all. And I'm also leaving a link down below in the description that you guys can donate to help out with cast members, to the cast member food pantry, if you want to help out. Because if you guys didn't hear the news, 28,000 cast members were recently laid off throughout the Walt Disney Company. And I mean, these are cast members who have, this is their career, this is their livelihood, and I really do feel for all of them. My hearts go out to each and every single one of you. I didn't want to make this video until, a week passed by since the news, and I still feel kind of weird making this video, but like I said, I'm not running ads on it, and I will also leave a link down below in the description where you guys can donate and help out. It's just really, really sad, and it's an unfortunate thing, but a lot of the reasoning with those layoffs has to do with the theme park guidelines that we're going to be talking about today. And one thing that I'd advise the theme park community to do, if you're a blogger, if you're just someone who posts on Twitter or Instagram or whatever, is always just, watch out for what you say, because after all, these are people's careers. There are people, there are Imagineers getting laid off. There are people who have been there for 15 plus years that are getting laid off. And just put yourself in those shoes. Would you want to see it all over the internet? And yes, I know that it's news, and I understand that, people are going to report on it, but you just got to be a little bit sensitive to the cast members and just put yourself in their shoes. Would you want to be going through that? Because I wouldn't want to be going through that. And before we get into the video, I will say this is a very touchy topic, so if you don't agree with something I say in this video, try to keep the negativity out of the comments. You could respectfully give your own opinion, but try to best to keep your negativity out of the comment section. I just want all positivity here. All I'll ever say is positivity is key. And yeah, with that being said, let's get into these theme park guidelines. If you guys don't know, recently Disneyland and Universal Studios and SeaWorld and Legoland, they've all been pushing California Governor Gavin Newsom to release the theme park guidelines so they can reopen. However, Gavin Newsom is just not budging at all. So let me keep you guys up to speed real quick. Back in July, Downtown Disney officially reopened, and they also had set a date for July 17th for the Disneyland Resort to open, like the actual theme parks DCA and Disneyland. However, with the COVID cases rising because nobody took it as serious anymore, Gavin Newsom had to put some new restrictions on, forcing Disneyland and other theme parks to cut out their plans of reopening during July. And since then, it's been kind of back and forth as far as when are they going to reopen, when are they going to put certain stuff down, when are they going to put certain plans into play. The only one that has been making moves is over in Florida with Walt Disney World and Universal Studios Florida and all the other Florida theme parks. And even though I think that they still open a little bit too early, I think that they're doing a phenomenal job over there. I mean, I was a little bit skeptical when I flew to Florida the past couple weeks ago, oh yeah, it's going to be kind of bad over there. They shouldn't have the theme parks open yet. Nobody's going to be following the rules. But let me tell you, I felt so safe there at Walt Disney World the whole trip. And that's just not me saying it just to say it. I really felt extremely safe there. I think that they have it down. So if Florida can do it, then why can't California do it? Especially with us having a smaller park. But the situation just a little bit different here with the governor and the government in California. So none of the theme parks have been able to open. They've only been able to open with minimal operations, as we've seen with Knott's Berry Farm and their tasting events. SeaWorld, the same thing. Legoland, they only open the big shop in the front of the park. And Universal Studios Hollywood is just radio silent right now. They've only opened City Walk. And that brings us to today, where the governor was going to finalize theme park guidelines because the theme parks kept pushing him, but the guidelines were just a little bit unreasonable. Like most of the theme parks can't function with these guidelines. I mean, it's more of like a risk reward type of thing taking these guidelines. And then the theme park said after pushing them to submit the guidelines, they went and pushed them to not release the guidelines. So now there's no guidelines, and both the theme parks and the governor don't know what's going on. We're at a halt right now. None of us fans know what's going on. None of us know when there's going to be an opening date. It's just radio silent right now. I mean, even like a couple days ago when the governor was asked about Disneyland reopening, he literally just completely ignored the question in a press conference. Like, he doesn't even want to talk about it because it's just been back and forth with the theme parks, which I'm going to say this right now. Part of it is the governor's fault. Part of it is Disneyland's fault. I feel like Disneyland's really leading the pack in opening these theme parks because obviously they're the heavy hitter. But I just feel like they're both at fault. Nobody wants to compromise to get these theme parks open. And in a result of that, cast members are getting laid off. Innocent people are losing their jobs. That they shouldn't lose their jobs. They worked. They've gone through the business school to get where they are. They've gone through, and even if you're in a lower tier position, like in food service or a ride operator, you still help make the magic every time guests go to the theme parks. You still help create the magic and create the different stories and the memories and such. So innocent people are losing their jobs, which sucks. And yes, we also got to look at how the COVID cases are rising and such like that, and how COVID, it may still not be safe to go out to the theme parks. However, I feel like it's very controlled right now with guidelines, with mask wearing, with social distancing markers. I feel like you can still keep guests safe at these theme parks with the cases that we currently have compared to what we had 2 months ago in July. Actually, it's been like 3 months ago. It's October. July was the 7th. Yeah, so it's been 3 months. Now, some of the unposted theme park guidelines that were supposed to go out last week were you can't visit a theme park if you're not in a 120-mile radius of that theme park. So say, for example, you live somewhere like far away from Disneyland. If you're 121 miles, you can't go to the theme park. And I do know the reasoning. They don't want people traveling from different areas. They don't want tourists traveling from different areas to go to the theme parks to kind of, prevent any more cases from rising. But it's just dumb. Even though there's more locals at these theme parks than anything, especially in California, there's not going to be as much money that they can make and get themselves back on their feet at any of the theme parks, really, while also operating and paying the cast members and paying those operating costs. It's just not worth it. Because yes, the demand will still be high, but when you eliminate the people outside of 120 miles that can't visit Disneyland or can't visit Universal Studios Hollywood, that just doesn't work out. Especially for theme parks down here in my area in the San Diego County, SeaWorld and Legoland. Most of the people live up in the LA area, and a lot of them live further than 120 miles. So SeaWorld won't get a lot of revenue. Legoland won't get a lot of revenue, especially SeaWorld being that they give some of the profits to their animals. So it's just really not reasonable at all. That's why I feel like with what SeaWorld's currently doing, catering more to the locals and these food tasting events and their small little spectaculars that they're having, I feel like that is a smarter move than running off these theme park guidelines that weren't posted. Another heavy hitter guideline that was a part of it was there's absolutely no indoor queues. You can't have indoor queues at all. They all have to be outdoor queues, which is ridiculous. Like, Disneyland mainly is indoor queues. Universal Studios Hollywood mainly is indoor queues. How in the world are theme parks going to have queues, safe queues, mind you, because Disneyland is kind of crowded, like especially in the Tomorrowland area, right? How are they going to have safe outdoor queues, socially distanced, and not use the indoor queues? How? Explain to me how. Especially now with Secret Life of Pets off the leash and the rumors of it just being solely indoors. How are they going to do outdoor queues? That's just not reasonable at all. It is safe to have indoor queues if you put social distancing markers down and plexiglass dividing each guest's party. And I mean, it's proven that way with the parks in Florida. So when I saw this guideline, I was just kind of scratching my head like, okay, so the governor's basically making it impossible for the theme parks in California open. Now keep in mind, the theme parks with outdoor queues would be thriving, like Knott's Berry Farm and Six Flags Magic Mountain. However, we're looking at all the theme parks in California and looking at what they need to open safe and open reasonably. And honestly, those two guidelines alone just aren't reasonable at all. I mean, there's just no way that they'd operate under those guidelines. Now, they'd have to operate with 25% capacity, which is fine. That's nothing unreasonable. Like that, we kind of expected that, right? 25% capacity is a lot still, nonetheless, considering what the actual capacity for Disneyland is. So that's a fine guideline. We all knew that one was coming. Keep in mind, theme parks can only reopen when their specific county has reached the least restrictive minimal risk level. And by the looks of it, that right now, that wouldn't be until early November. And that's why I'm saying I don't think the theme parks are going to open until 2021, because if we still don't have guidelines set, and it's still going to take, I'd say, roughly 5 weeks to train all the cast members to get everything ready, even though mostly everything's ready at Disneyland at least. It's going to take at least a minimum of 5 weeks to actually get it up and running. Say we don't get the guidelines, the official guidelines, like the actual reasonable ones, until 2 weeks down the way from now. And I'm hoping that it's next week. 5 weeks on top of that will already be midway through November, and then we'll be into December. I just don't think, I think that they should just open in January of 2021 and just, it's a fresh new year, start fresh. And that's why I honestly believe that that's what's going to happen. The theme parks aren't going to open this year. And that's just my personal opinion. Just speaking from a realistic standpoint, I am hoping that we get something next week, and I'm hoping that the governor says something next week. So yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. I did ask you guys on my Instagram to share your thoughts on this, and I have a couple of your guys' thoughts, which I'm going to read off right now and talk about them a little bit. Looper de Hooper says, Newsom knows they're not reasonable. He ain't going to budge till after the election. Amelie Monroe XO, I'm sorry about that. They basically want COVID to be nearly non-existent before they open the parks. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. It seems like they just want there to be 0 cases to actually open the theme parks, which probably won't be until late next year. At A2 Colin _ says Newsom / Disney / Universal are all equally at fault. And yeah, like I said earlier, the theme parks are for blame too. They're not compromising with the government. I know that these guidelines are unreasonable, but they all got to work together because California is all in this together, and it needs to be a team effort. Guerrera _ 305 says, I think that they should have just stuck with the same guidelines that Orlando has had. Slushy Trickster says, Florida is handling it really well. And while I was first on the governor's side, it's getting to the point where we are seeing nearly 30,000 cast members being fired. We need to reopen. We're all screwed for our jobs. I thought everything was somewhat fair except the only opening in Yellow Stage. The Yellow Stage takes too long, especially for populated counties to reach. And yeah, I couldn't agree more on literally all of those. So thank you guys for sharing your thoughts with me. I always post stuff like that on social media or my YouTube community tab for you guys for a chance to be featured in the video. And I couldn't agree more with all of those responses. But that does it for today's video. Sorry, I don't know if it was a long one or not. It says 20 minutes on the camera, but I know once I cut it and everything, it'll probably be 14 minutes. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like, subscribe down below with those bell notifications. Like I said, if you want to help out cast members who recently got laid off and just cast members who aren't going through a tough time in general, make sure to click the link down below in the description and donate to the cast member food pantry. And once again, my heart goes out to all of you guys who are affected by the recent layoffs. But with that being said, my name is Scott. You've been watching SoCal Exploring. Positivity is key, and most importantly, remember to keep exploring. Peace out, everybody.